Welcome to Launch Code, a premier business podcast, starring Evan Hafer, Matt Best, and Jared Taylor.
All right, welcome back to another Launch Code podcast. Today we've got Bradley Brooks.
If you want to call me that, sure.
Okay.
My mom calls me Bradley.
Okay, Brad Brooks. There we go. Brad Brooks. Jamie, he was on a previous podcast. Matt and myself. So tell us about the company, man. Tell us what you got going on, because I don't want to mispronounce it. So you're going to have to tell me all about it.
So Argali, we're a lightweight hunting gear and equipment company. So we make and sell super lightweight gear and equipment for guys that are into going super light and for the most part going into far away from roads, so backpack hunting style. So that's kind of what we do.
How long have you been around?
So Argali's been around since 2013. We actually started out, we were a filmmaking company, so we started out doing like adventure hunting films, and then branched out and started doing our own gear and apparel and started an e-com store, and I've been trying to hold on ever since. So
Okay.
it's been a ride.
So and what are you doing as far as like what kind of gear are you guys into? Like everything, or are you specializing in packs? Are you specializing in shelters? Is it just
Basically anything you would need head to toe. So
Really? Okay.
like equipment wise, the only thing we don't sell right now is weapons.
Right.
Because that's a whole like different ball game when it comes to like rules and regulations, as you guys I'm sure are well aware. So yeah, everything from boots, clothes, packs, tents, optics, and kind of everything in between, from backpacking gear, sleeping pads, stoves, game bags, knives, all that kind of stuff. So
Where are you guys located?
we're in Boise, Idaho.
Oh,
Look at that. Just
Where are
home.
you guys? Where are you?
We're in Salt Lake, so we're just
Okay.
south of you.
Evan's from Idaho, so anytime
Are you?
you hear
Yeah.
Boise, he pings up a little bit and gets excited.
Where are you from?
I'm from Lewiston, Idaho, originally.
Lewiston.
Yeah, from Lewiston.
You still smell that pulp mill in your nose? You still have that smell stuck in there?
No, I just smell Jared when he's around. And that reminds me of home. But that's just him. That's
If
the way
you've
that he
ever,
smells.
for nobody who's ever been to Lewiston, there's a pulp mill there, and like the smell of the pulp mill is very.
What is a pulp mill?
That's a paper. So
Yeah, okay.
they bring in the trees and basically grind them, mash them, spit out all the shit that they don't use, and add some chemicals, and then on the other end you got paper.
Great. It's a great smell. You'll never forget it. We get
No,
one
it-
in Savannah at 175.
Yeah, it's
really?
So you know
it
what I'm
smells
talking
like it
about.
smells like a fart. It does. It smells
Oh,
like
yeah.
a fart.
It's really-
Not to go too far off subject, but yeah, that's where I grew up, is Lewiston, Idaho, right there with the pulp mill. Well, kind of. I was up in a smaller town outside of that town, but yeah, I mean, it just seems like a really easy way to make paper. You know, you take a fucking tree that's about as hard as a rock, and you turn it into this fucking thing that's white that you can write on. Of course, yeah, it's totally.
You're gonna wonder
You know?
how did they think of that?
Yeah,
In the words of yesterday's interview, or just throw some science at it.
Yeah,
You
we're just
dip-
gonna
you
throw
dip
some
a tree in
science.
science, and then you get a
out
paper.
comes paper. You can write on it. You can wipe your ass with it. You can clean up your Jared.
Are you a hunter yourself, Brad?
Yeah. Yep.
What's your favorite thing to hunt?
Mule deer?
Mule deer?
Yep.
Why muleys?
They I should clarify. Well, I'll clarify a little bit. Like I love hunting mule deer with a bow, just because it's just hard.
Yeah,
It's not easy.
Right.
I don't know why, man. I never like. There are a lot of dudes in the hunting world who identify themselves like a species. Like I like to hunt elk, or I like to hunt deer, and I'm always somebody who just likes to hunt. Just historically like to hunt everything. But the more you kind of learn about mule deer, they're these like really reclusive animals. Like bucks will live their whole lives pretty much not interacting with anything else. Females will interact with during the rut. It's kind of like Vegas. And then
It's a constant rut here in Vegas. You know,
it never stops.
Yeah.
It's not once a year. But you know, they pretty much live these solitary lives, just really trying to hide from fucking everybody and everything. And they live in these insane places, you know, that you would not think mule deer live in. And especially when they get to be big bucks, they're hard to find, and they're super hard to hunt and kill with a bow, because you have to get in really close on them, and they kind of have the upper hand. So it's just a fun challenge.
and it's true that a mule deer is the perfect blend between a mule and a deer. That's where they mated.
That's
and
where the
it
name
came
comes
out.
from. Correct. Yes,
Yeah.
you got that right.
Okay, got it.
Half mule, half deer.
Half mule, half deer. I'm pretty good at
It
biology.
was actually the Spanish who originally brought mule deer over to Idaho.
Really?
Yeah. Little known fact.
Is that real though? So we're just on the same track.
No,
The original fornication happened in Spain.
I'm like, okay, this all sounds like a big joke. I know
I
he's
think
lying.
there's a documentary.
That's
on it.
called a helk. It's a horse and an elk. It's fucking legit. It's huge.
Bad German science.
I'm riding it
experiment.
down the road right now. Let's go elk
Jump on my
hunting. I like to go
elk hunting.
elk hunting. And where's your favorite place to hunt?
Oh man, I don't talk about that.
Just general terms. You don't need to tell me exact
Like a
grid.
state.
You don't.
Okay, here's the thing, man. I'll tell you, like, from the filmmaking business, like, the thing that happens though. So this is like a whole. Are you guys hunters? You guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like,
Not a very accomplished.
so you
one,
know
but-
this whole thing where people are trying to hotspot you constantly, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the films, like, I can't tell you how many like emails or people that I'll meet be like, I know where you're at when you shot that. And and what I don't tell them, so this is like, I'll reveal it here today. On our films, we actually superimpose different mountains in our films that don't belong in those mountain ranges, just to kind of fuck with people. Mostly because, what's that?
So that's great.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, it's kind of, yeah. So like when people ask me where like favorite place to hunt is, it's always a little tricky because we've been burned a few times where.
Can't give up a secret spot.
Yeah, but I will say, okay, favorite state. I don't want to be a dick about it. I've been labeled a dick about not being too close-mouthed about my hunting spots. But I love, there's two places I'll say. Nevada, something about, I love the mountain ranges in Nevada. Just rugged, kind of austere, and just gorgeous at the same time. And also desolate. And then, I love my home state of Idaho too. So
yeah.
hard to beat.
Where did you grow up?
Boise area.
Oh, you did?
Meridian.
Yeah. Meridian. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
But Meridian this is like Idaho geography, but Meridian was outside of Boise. Suburb was actually a suburb when I grew up there.
Right. Yeah.
So,
And how did you get into this? Like, what was it? Just through hunting and then filmmaking, or were you filmmaking and then decided to hunt?
no, I mean, I've been hunting my whole life.
Right.
The films came because, like, if you ever watch like hunting films, I mean, it's like there's just a lot of really horrible hunting shows and films out there. I don't know how to say it in their way,
How
but
so?
No, the story arc is amazing. In hunting films, they're amazing. We're out here. We're gonna shoot this deer. They shoot it and then
Killed it.
Look at this deer that I shot. The fucking narrative
and like
is
get your
amazing.
sponsors like logos in there.
It's
and
just
then, like,
incredible. Like they put in
I'm
a
just waiting
lot
for
of
it to be like
intellectual effort.
NASCAR one day. It's like, look there's a nice 15-point buck, and it's got Krispy Kreme on the side of the deer. It's like they release deer in the
Superimposing a
wild.
mountaintop with superimpose some
I mean,
sponsor
listen,
logos.
not to go too off the subject here, but that would be a pretty cool thing. Is where you have a ranch and then they're all adverts. You're like, hey, you can shoot the McDonald's deer. You know?
Yeah.
The Taco Bell deer
the
is
Helk.
a yearling. Let's give it another 2 years to.
like
to
You
get
can
going.
shoot the McDonald's Helk, and then you can ride it, and then you just put the pistol in its mouth, and that is it too
that would
far?
make for great TV.
Too far.
I feel like it's kind of where we're headed, honestly. Like the way the whole sponsorship thing in hunting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's one of the reasons why I don't know. I like Donnie Vincent. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's
I like
great.
his films
He's great.
a lot.
There's some great content storytellers out there.
Yeah, and they're just incredible people. But
What have you seen? So you do the filming of the hunting. What have you seen before? I've seen a lot of companies now from TV, and now they're getting into like YouTube channel. I mean,
Yeah.
where are you guys at?
My take on all that, like the way people consume media is obviously changing very quickly. The industry is not really keeping pace with that change. I think the people in charge a lot of times are not under 30, so they don't always understand like the fact that people under 30 aren't watching traditional like whitetail hunting shows, right? But yet a lot of the people they're sponsoring are these like, people that are making traditional TV, whitetail hunting, high fence hunting operations with, not that far away from McDonald's being like
Hey,
shaped
you
in the
know what?
side.
That's the kind of hunter I am. My wife just shot in Oric, and it was on a high fence, and we had whiskey in her cups. Not her, because she had the firearm, of course. We were being responsible firearm owners, but
no, there's nothing wrong with that. But there's this,
it takes the sport out of it a lot, and we just harvest meat. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it's not what you guys are doing, where it's about the experience of the environment and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not. Yeah, I should clarify too. I'm not judging like anybody's experience. I think it's great. I mean, I have a lot of buddies who do the high fence stuff, and especially down in places like Texas. I mean, that's pretty much your only option. If you live in Texas, unless you go out of your state, I mean, you don't. That's what you have to do if you want to hunt.
Everything's private land out there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what John was explaining to me, which is where Matt's friend, my new friend, he was saying low fence. He's like low fence hunting, and I'm like,
Right.
what the fuck is low fence hunting? He's like, it's basically as close to hunting as you're going to get in Texas, but it's still got a fence, still property that somebody owns. I'm like,
Well, it's
Right.
fenced because the
Oh,
animals
got
can
it.
still jump the fence,
Right.
obviously. So you'll have some whitetail that'll be on your property one day that won't be. So it's like a
Right.
newer environment, whereas like a high fence, I mean, those
Yeah.
Texans take it so freaking serious as far as the exact animals. I mean, they'll have helicopters that fly and mark each single animal, gauge their growth, their diets. It's a bizarre world, and there's actually a lot of money in there. I didn't know.
Oh, there's tons, man.
Tons of it. You know, you purchase let's say a 2-year-old buck at $2,800. You let it turn into a 6-year-old buck, and you're looking at $20,000 as a trophy animal.
Jesus.
It's pretty insane.
We're in the wrong
market. But a lot of
business.
those guys, they don't really care about hunting. Obviously, not the guys that run the ranches,
Yeah.
but you got the rich guy in Silicon Valley that
Yeah.
wants to throw a massive buck in his wall. He doesn't want to walk out in the cold. He wants to
Oh yeah,
have
no.
it.
We have like high fence elk operations in Idaho, and yeah, and not everybody, but you do get those guys that they're literally just looking for a story to brag about, right? Yeah, so it's personally like I don't really care for, I think there should be some experience involved with the hunt, right? If it's just a meat thing, like I get that, because that's why why we hunt. I mean, we eat wild game at our house, and that's pretty much all we eat. Yeah, I feel like there's something missing with like the experience. Like, hunting, if you look at hunting historically, right? Like we all hunted, right? We are a hunting species. We killed shit as a species. That's part of how we survived. And I've seen it many times when you take somebody out, even who's never been hunting before, right? And you get a weapon in their hands, and if they've never been hunting, like you see something like clicks in their brain where it's like, holy shit, like I'm trying to kill something right now. And their whole like body, the way they walk changes, the way they act changes. And I think it's innate in all of us. And I feel like if you do the high fencing, like you're missing out on some of that a little bit, right? You're missing out on the ability to give the animal like a fighting chance, and where it's like your wits against their wits. Not to say it's like bad in all situations, but you get into this whole like esoteric question of like what is hunting, and then what's just meat harvest, and where's the difference between the two. And I think back to your question, I think part of the reason people like Joe Rogan got into hunting, right, and it's sort of had this like popular effect on the hunting world in terms of people that are interested in hunting who never
Because of Joe Rogan, really?
tons of people, man.
Wow. Okay.
Because I mean, he has this audience, and I haven't seen his analytics lately,
Right.
but he has an audience that's mixed. It's a lot of just people that know him as a celebrity,
Right.
But he got into hunting, and I mean, just anecdotal experience of people who are like not into hunting, but they like Joe Rogan's podcast, and they're like, yeah, he really changed my opinion on hunting. Joe
Well, he's
Rogan.
cool too because he's one of the few guys and entertainers out there that just says, "This is me. If you don't like you, don't like
Yeah.
it, fuck you." And I think that's what you do with hunting. And a lot of people are so like risk averse in the social media side because they don't want to have any followers have a reason to not like them, because social media is a marketing tool now. It's the most powerful one in existence. So even me sometimes, like if I were to post me going out hunting and a dead animal, there'll absolutely be people that come on there and try to rip you apart for that. And you're like, hey, I'm harvesting my own meat, man. That's
And the thing, yeah, totally. And the thing like bears versus elk or mule deer are totally different, right? Like you shoot a bear, like people can go hysterical on you versus if you shoot like an elk or a deer. There's something about bears that's very
It's that common, I think
Yeah.
people relate elk, deer as all right, they're commonly hunted,
Yeah.
but when you start talking about bear, they're well, it's the National Geographic show I just watched.
Right.
It's,
That looks
why do
like
we
my
hunt bear?
lab.
Yeah.
I've
You
already
should
spoken
shot my
about this
lab.
on another podcast that we do, but just to put that in context, my wife took a picture and she was holding 8 fillets from Costco, okay? Just fillets on a fucking tray because we're getting ready to grill and meal prep for the week. And she had this like whole vegan social media page just There was like 150, 200 girls that just went after her, calling her like, you know, a POS, a terrible person. I hope you die, bitch. And like, my wife is like the sweetest woman ever, and just holding fillets. And it's so amazing to me to see the disconnect with people. You know, those are some people probably going out and eating a hamburger when they got drunk, but that somehow is cool. And then it's a bizarre world for me, and I don't think people have the knowledge.
Intellectually uninteresting to me. People that can't understand the difference between like buying meat and killing yourself, right? Like having that experience of like I can tell you guys know this too. You open your freezer, you pull out some burgers, some steaks. You're like, I killed that animal, and you think about it. Like for me, there's like a brief second where I'm like, it'll say like elk steak 2016, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that hunt. I remember killing this animal. I remember cutting it up, and then I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'm hungry, and then go cook it. But like when you like, how often you buy shit at the store and you think about, God, I wonder what this cow, like where this cow lived, you know, I wonder how it died.
Never, because that stuff just comes from the store, right?
Yeah.
It was never anything.
Well, that was one of the.
You could just buy it from the
that
store.
was one of the comments. That was one of the comments on
It was 100%.
the thread.
Was it
Meat
really?
comes from the store.
But isn't that like
it's disgusting? And you know, and then you have other people there who are just like, I'm sure you seem really tough holding up those fillets, and you're like, man, like, I'll cut a deer's throat in 2 seconds, man. I'm all about an ethical kill, and it's like that's the misinterpretation I feel of the hunting community, where it's just these guys that go out there, you know, shoot a deer in the ass, let it die in a week. No, it's like you take an ethical shot. You're making sure that animal isn't suffering. And hunting to me is like, it's an amazing thing because they're out there. Bambi's out there hanging out with all of its friends, and then it just goes to sleep. It didn't have to live in a cage, and you don't get more organic than that.
No, it's totally the disconnect that people have with just like our species is just like, that's why I say when it's like intellectually uninteresting to me. If like you can't understand that, like it's almost like hard for me to engage in a conversation with somebody who's like that, like obtuse about our like who we are as a species.
No, because what you're actually designed to eat is highly processed soy and grind, and it has to be refined and ground up into bricks that you barbecue. And then put a bunch of shit on to make taste like meat, and then you're good. Don't worry about it. That's not detrimental to the environment whatsoever.
Actually, the thing that goes across my mind when I see like steaks in a store is usually like, why is it so red? Like, what the hell's going on here with the meat? Like, how the hell do they make it look like that? It looks weird to me usually.
That's the
that's like
Dunkin' Donuts sponsored steaks.
Oh,
It's
right.
But that's society. Pink. They see a chicken egg come out and they're like, "Why is it brown and multicolored?" Oh, come on, man.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, it's interesting. We don't get. I mean, our audience is mostly like YouTube, Facebook, you know. I mean, and Instagram are probably where most of our audience is seeing what we're doing. We do like some like big adventure films, and we try and get them into like big film festivals as sort of just part of our branding. But
do you guys manufacture? Do you cut and sew like what you're doing? Is that do you do it right there in Boise?
Some stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then we retail some products, and we make some of our own branded products.
Nice.
We're doing a lot more of our own products. So.
Are you?
Yeah.
Up there in Boise, or is it?
It's kind of all over the country.
Is it?
Yeah, we have kind of suppliers and people putting stuff together all over the place.
Are you using Dyneema? Are you using as your lightweight material, or what are you using? As far as like
nylon. So yeah, nylon and Dyneema are the products we use. So I'm trying to think about what I can talk about on that right now.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's like this is always a problem.
Run me exactly through how you make it.
I mean,
how do you brand it?
Tell me where your factories are, your favorite hunting spots by grid, and we're fucking good. We can leave this podcast.
I'll give you a text. Yeah, I'll drop you some pins. Yeah, we use a lot of stretch nylon is something I really like, especially in like pants. Just durable, lightweight. It's great for like early season archery. We do a lot of merino wool products. So we don't have our own merino clothing line, but we have a company that we work with called First Light, which is out of Ketchum.
Yeah.
You heard of First Light? Okay,
for sure.
Super good people, great company.
What's your favorite piece of kit that you guys make? I know you do a lot, but you got to have one that you're real passionate about,
right.
or. You know.
So most of the gear and equipment we sell, most of it is not manufactured by us yet. But I would say of the stuff we make, the stuff I'm most excited about, honestly, right now is a set of game bags we have coming out. Game bags are like this really simple thing that it seems to not be done very well.
Totally true.
Yeah.
And that's so I hunt whitetail in like the East. So, especially down south, North Carolina, Georgia, they don't get very big. But so game bags, you're talking about, I mean, that's when you go in and you're packing out your meat then, right? Is that what that is?
Yeah. Actually, do y'all use game bags out east?
Ziplocs.
I've never
They use
heard
the
it.
Ziplocs.
The
I have a
white
cooler,
town
I
in Georgia,
put it
you
in
just get a
afterwards.
Ziploc bag. They're really easy to put in there.
They're like small, they're like big
Ziploc,
rabbits.
if you're listening, we're looking for
You've got
sponsorship.
bigger bass than the deer that you've shot.
Yeah, because most of I guess our the when we think of like who our core customer is, it's the person who is back in at least a couple miles back either backpacking
On
or just
their-
hunting off the
On their razor
on their
with their
razor.
stereo, right?
Whatever works
getting
for you,
heloed.
man. Whatever works for you, man.
Do they
That's
step-
me. I have the high fence and a razor. I'm too lazy to walk
Listen
the
to
half mile
Eminem.
to the
Listening to
stand.
Eminem.
Yeah.
I got it.
What's the furthest you've humped in that you have, and killed something?
Well, that's a
And
great
where did you
question.
start and where did you end? Just grids.
Just like real quick. We did well. Okay, I'll qualify as by saying we
You
did.
can point on this map right here.
Yeah, we can. I'll show you.
I mean,
guys
you talk
later.
are average hunts like that. I mean, talking a couple miles. And I know they can vary because you're chasing an animal.
Yeah.
But I mean, what I've seen of it is, it's sometimes it's over a few days that you're out there like tracking an animal.
Yeah. So okay. So like it varies. Like this last fall, like I had one hunt where we flew into the Frank Church Wilderness, got dropped off with rafts, and then went down, then backpacked out for like 3 days. Came back down to the raft. It was like a November hunt. So that trip, you're out for like we were 12 days or something.
Where'd you fly into? What airstrip?
We flew in
Indian?
What's that?
Did you fly into Indian Creek or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then
You're familiar with?
Well, I have a company. We do Middle Fork of the Salmon trips, so we do 12 a
shit.
year. Yeah.
What's your
then
company?
Idaho River Adventures. Blue boats, yellow writing.
Oh, I feel like I think I've seen. Yeah. Okay. So we so we did the Frank hunt, which is a super fun hunt, but like
That's a fucking incredible hunt. Yeah.
yeah, it's an incredible place too, man.
Do you hunt muleys up there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Especially that time of year, like it's just epic, man. Like
it's like you feel like it feels like Alaska. It's like you're just in
Yeah.
the middle. Like if you like get hurt, I mean you're just kind of.
And you're not
Kinda
just,
hosed.
I mean, you're not just going in there doing this. I mean, you training for it, and I mean, you got to be in some shape to do this stuff.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, like you don't have to be, but like it's recommended. Yeah,
It's gonna
You
make
don't-
your trip a whole lot more
Yeah,
enjoyable.
I mean,
you don't have to be in shape to
It's
go
gonna
to
suck,
selection,
but yeah,
but it's gonna help.
Yeah, that's like
it may help you. If you,
that's like
yeah.
not
If you
drinking
wanna
when you're
finish-
pregnant. It's highly recommended that you don't do it.
like I'm not a doctor, but like an average. Okay, so like an average backpack hunt for me is probably like 5 to 7 days, and usually what I'll do is like I'll leave my truck, and then I'll just like literally have everything in my back, and I'll just wander wherever I decide I want to go, and it can be anywhere from like line of distance from the truck, anywhere from like 2 to 3 miles to like up to like if I'm hunting deer, I don't mind going like up to like 14 miles. But if I'm hunting elk, I try, especially if I'm by myself, I don't try and go more than like 5.
Because then you got to turn around.
Well, because
and
it's
hump all
like
that meat
4.
back
It's like
out.
3 to 4 trips.
Yeah.
And like and it's like a time thing, right? So it's
Right.
like okay, I've got 7 or 8 days to hunt. That means I have 4 days to kill something at this distance. So like it limits
Right.
your window of. So, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I would hunt closer if I just didn't mind being around other people, but I just don't like seeing other people at
Right.
all. So
I
I
can
just
relate. I think we all can.
Yeah.
Kind of.
yeah. So it's just
What
kind of
are you hunting with? Like what kind of bows do you use? Like,
So right now I'm shooting a prime
Mm-hmm.
alloy, and then I've been using Kimber rifles for a while, just because they're
Those Kimbers are nice. I just got a 300 Win Mag, and it's
Oh, yeah?
super lightweight. I mean,
what'd you get?
it was a gift. I forget exactly what model. So a friend bought it for me for Christmas. So I haven't even put a round through it yet, but it's so freaking light. I'm like, I could take this thing anywhere.
It's nice. I mean, the downside to the super lightweight rifle is this. I mean, it's a little bit squirrely if you're shooting offhand, but I mean, if you've got a set of bipods or something, it doesn't matter.
I'm building a pretty epic one right now.
Are you?
Yeah. I just ordered. Actually, my buddy just sent me a new 338 proof barrel, and then
nice.
with surgeon stock, and I forget what action did I go with. But it's. I think we boiled it down to like 3 different actions. But
I think you're gonna have to let me know how that proof barrel works out, because I've been curious about those Is it a carbon barrel?
Yeah, it's. I think there's like hit and miss depending on who you talk to and how they're actually breaking them in and shooting them. Because it's really hit and miss up to the person, because the people that you talk to, chances are like if they can't group it, it might not be the barrel, right?
Right.
It's
Could
like
be a lot of things.
Yeah, it could be a lot of things, and I mean I've heard all the stories, and I had another proof barrel on another on a AR. And I had it for like 2 years. I shot it, and then I gave it to my buddy, and he shot it in 3-gun for a year. And then one day it just wouldn't hold groups. And I trust him because, I mean, he's, SOTA qualified.
Kind of knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. But he's like, yeah, I just walked out one day, like it was grouping the previous day, and then all of a sudden it wouldn't hold anything.
Yeah.
And he probably had 1,500 rounds through it, like nothing.
And I'm not much of like I'm kind of an any weapon as long as it'll kill an animal kind of person. Like I don't
Bat.
What's that?
Bat.
Yes, I harvest
Whatever, man.
cows with bats.
That would be like the next thing, a bat season. It's like,
Yeah.
well, there's like rifle
Brought
season,
to
bow
you
season.
by
season.
Major
Bat
League
season.
Baseball.
Man, I just can't wait for hatchet season.
It's gonna be
I
restrictions.
love this Major
on-
League Baseball hunting. It's fucking incredible. Super gory.
Super gory.
Super gory.
No
Seeing
cork
these
bats,
dudes
though.
jump out of
No
trees
cork
and
bats. Yeah,
beat
metal
fucking-
bats only.
Metal bats.
beat
It's all the
fucking
legal
deer to
house.
death with an aluminum bat. Pang, pang. They're like wearing their cleats and shit. Now that would be epic.
That would be a
You
great
might get some
film.
social media.
Yeah, I think that one would be a little worse than the 8 Costco fillets that my wife posted. Bad season.
All of a sudden, Pete Rose is hated even more when he jumps out of a tree and he's beating Bambi to death. Like,
Well, I find something interesting too is like a lot of people that don't hunt. Like one of the questions you'll get is like, do you hunt with a bow or rifle? It's like, well, both. But there's like more respect for people that don't hunt for like the bow hunting. But I always remind people, I'm like, you realize that like with an arrow, like an animal dies a hell of a lot slower typically.
Yeah.
There's more wounding. Like with a gun, it's a lot quicker. Like
Yeah, you heart and lung it. It's out. And
Yeah.
then we're a bow. I mean,
Right.
there's so much more room for error as far as marksmanship, and then obviously an arrow instead of a projectile
Right.
moving at
Right.
crazy speed.
Yeah. So
I didn't say the feet per second because I didn't want to get eat up on that one.
yeah, moving at X feet per
Lots of
second.
feet per second.
Lots of feet per second.
like
Just like my
300.
bat. Sorry.
You can always replace velocity with mass in the case of hunting with bats.
Yes, exactly. The feet per second is about 120, but the mass is extreme.
Yeah, this is great.
Kinetic energy. That's what a lot of
Yeah.
people talk about in the bow world. A lot of kinetic energy. With
There's
the
a
bat.
ton of fucking kinetic energy.
Yep.
I just if I hear kinetic one more time, I want to go kinetic on myself.
It's dynamic, bro.
Hey man, where can they find you?
You can find us online, Argali_official, and then ArgaliOutdoors.com is our URL.
Do you guys have a retail shop in Boise?
Nope, just e-commerce. I mean,
Cool.
people can always stop by
Right.
our place and come see us, and we'll show you product. But I try and discourage people dropping in. But
Yeah. You doing
Well,
some
you just
weird-
invited
doing
them,
some
so that
weird
was very contradictory in your
Come on by,
statements,
but don't, please.
listen, if you want to come drink beer and look at gear, come on by.
Okay.
But what I don't
you
mind-
have to
just
bring the beer. You guys
yes,
bring the beer.
yes, and or coffee is fine. But like my parents had a retail shop growing up, and like what I've never wanted is like where I have to like go open the door at like 9 o'clock every morning and like shut it
Right.
at 5. That's why we have an online business primarily. But no, I mean people stop by all the time because some of the stuff we sell is really expensive. People want to like see it before they buy it, which is understandable.
Yeah, it's totally understandable. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for stopping
Yeah,
in.
thanks for
here,
having me
brother.
on, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, Jamie, Brad, Matt, and Evan. This
We'll
has been
see
Launch
you
Code.
during bat.
We're gonna go
bat
back to
season.
shot and look around.
Cheers. Thanks.
Bye.
Right.